Hello and welcome to Sports Yaari. We have with us a very special guest today, a very special man, the mind behind, should I say, the mind behind Ultimate Kho Kho. Sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so
So first
much.
of all, I just want to ask you one thing. How pleased are you with the response it is getting? I mean, Ultimate Kho Kho is such a rage. On our channel, people want to know other players. They want to know the insides of the what it went through your mind, while creating this.
Well, it's been a long time now. It's been 4 years that we've been working around on this concept. The idea was always to get into a space where indigenous sports could get their own spotlight. Um, the non-cricketing genre had increased a lot since Pro Kabaddi's launch. I think largely the viewership really grew, and we believe that there was a gap that could have been plugged, and we are glad that Kho Kho happened to us. When we sort of conceptualized this about 4 years ago, the idea was to make it a spectacle on air, and essentially this also required something which is televised in a grand sense. So largely the critical success factors which we sort of kept in our mind was if it's a fast-paced sport in India with a reach which reaches to pretty much every Indian's heart and soul. जो खो खो है माटी का खेल है और कण कण में बसा हुआ है हम भारतीयों में एंड that was one of the biggest factors why we got inched towards this. Secondly, when we saw the sport in its live avatar, I think we had no doubt that it will become a spectacle because जो speed of play है इसका वो that is pretty much second to none. In my mind, as I always have mentioned this is the fastest sport that India is witnessing today on air and on ground. And I must say the whole sport is pretty much like the last lap of Formula One. That is how the commentators feel here. That is how the setup has been made. That is how the crowds are feeling. And also the on-air viewership is sort of translating into this because the decisions are fast. Strategy is very immense and very accurate. And the best part, coaches get to play a huge role in this. So yes, we are extremely happy that the response that we've got season one. I think unanimously everybody is saying that the camera angles have worked out well, which was the largest problem statement for us, and I think we've addressed that.
Yeah. So basically, sir, you have been contributing to sports, for like 2 decades now, and just want to know one thing: what drives your passion towards sports?
Um, that's again. See, I've been a sportsman myself. I've played cricket, but whenever I've worked, I've only done non-cricketing sports. I think it's a difficult sell. Also, the idea was always to be make India, or rather, inch with our efforts to make India a multi-sport nation, right? As I said earlier, with the growth of indigenous sport and non-cricketing genre, whether it is individual or team sport, इंडिया ने भारत ने कॉमनवेल्थ में कमाल दिखाया, ओलंपिक्स में कमाल दिखा रहा है, आज नीरज चोपड़ा बुलंदियाँ छू रहा है. These are all individual sports, and we are so happy that individual sports is also growing at a large level. At the same time, if you could give a platform and create a product, a sports league, which is at the apex of the pyramid, and well curated, well thought after, which has great production values, which has amazing stakeholders, which has a great broadcaster, and the vision is always to grow Kho Kho into India. जैसे मैंने अपने ओपनिंग स्पीच में बोला था कि ये हर बच्चे की सपनों की उड़ान होगी.
Exactly.
एंड आई थिंक दीज आर द थिंग्स विच हैव ऑलवेज सॉर्ट ऑफ resonated with our belief, and that's pretty much the vision statement for all of us.
For the people who don't know, this man is behind, the revival of many such sports, many such indigenous sports as well. I would say is the man behind futsal. For me, it was a rage. It was such an immense, such a big step towards football in our country. And other than that, I would say Kabaddi, your role in Kabaddi was amazing. You have prepared some amazing business models for those sports. How difficult or how challenging was it to prepare a business model for Ultimate Kho Kho?
See, I think from a commercial standpoint, it is very important to keep your basics correct. Um, a low cost conservative model will always excite eyeballs. The idea for us was always to get the big boys on the table, and I think we've successfully done that. You know, um, I personally always wanted to contribute back to the industry by bringing in 2 to 3 new investors in the sport and give them a fabulous experience. I think कहीं ना कहीं हम उस चीज़ में खरे उतरे हैं with the likes of the government of Odisha. It's an iconic moment for all of us. It's a historic moment for all of us. Adani Group, GMR, Capri Global, KLO, and Puneet Balan and Badshah. I think they're all fabulous names, a great first 6 entities in Ultimate Kho Kho. All of them believed in the fact that the PNL and the business model was making sense to them. It wasn't a run of the mill business model which showed green at an early stage, because everybody understands that sports marketing takes at least 3 to 4 years to break even. Yes. Right? So, from a commercial standpoint, that was one of the biggest strong points. The other point was that because Kho Kho, Marti ka khel hai, and all these players come from humble backgrounds, we had actually capped the draft player's salary for the first 2 years. And I think that also made a lot of sense. And then eventually we'll get into the auctions. Also, what you see right now, what you're witnessing here in, Malunge, Balewadi, Pune, is a one venue affair. And that is also playing a huge role in the business PNL. So there is a lot of changes that we have done to excite all these investors.
So you were a great visionary. I would say that there must have been some issues while there was pandemic. It was supposed to start in 2019. The idea was there. You were all prepared.
Issues, yeah, massive issues. Yeah, yeah.
What would you like to say? Those were extremely challenging situation for you. It must have been. How it went through. I mean, what was your was it challenging you mentally as well? Whether it will be a success or not?
See, I was always very confident about the product. For me, we've always believed that Kho Kho was a very fast-paced sport on ground. The biggest problem statement was how will it look on air, right? उसी के वजह से अगर आप ये पूरा कैमरा सेटअप देखें, we've done a 18-19 camera setup for the first time. You see the light Spidey right there. That has been used for the first time in Indian sporting scenario. Uh, from a pandemic standpoint, as I said, I was confident about the product. It it was a plus and a minus in my mind. The minus was that we could not achieve our timelines during 2020 and 2021. But what it actually gave us in the hindsight, now that we look back, is that it gave us a lot of time to plan things properly. So whenever the launch is, which is right now, it's a grand launch.
How difficult was it to convince the franchises as well? I mean, these are some massive, massive names. I mean, you talk about GMR, we are talking about Adani's. These are massive names. I mean, how difficult was it for you to convince them? I mean,
Again, see, I don't know. It wasn't that difficult to convince. I think it took a long time to sign those agreements because of the pandemic. Largely, everybody believed in the vision that this could be the third largest league going forward in India, right? Both Adani and GMR have proven their mettle in sports marketing investments. The question, if it was sort of rounded up to see that how was it difficult to convince the other new investors? Yes, it was slightly difficult. But I think they all saw what we were trying to achieve. And it was all there in the vision. But of course, when you put pen to paper and when you put things in black and white, as far as the PNL is concerned, I'm sure they found a lot of value from a commercial standpoint to what's going to come about. And I think everybody has a unanimous decision right now.
you have done incredible work for for the revival, or should I say the expansion, or I mean, enhancing the importance of such indigenous sports. And somewhere or another, I do believe that I'm a sports fan, that you have been the unsung hero. You should get more recognition. What would you like to say to that? I mean, are you not?
No, I'm
Does that
absolutely.
bother you?
No, not at all, not at all. This is a proof of the pudding, as we say it. I think the whole world is saying it now. All of us, including us at Ultimate Kho Kho, and the complete massive team in Kho Kho Federation of India, our team in Ultimate Kho Kho here, the TV production team, the on-ground team, the commentators, all of us have put out a huge amount of hard work to bring this dream alive. Today, the dream is a reality, and I would like to thank my investor, Mr. Amit Burman, promoter Dabur, who actually saw the vision in me and believed in the vision and invested. And I think that is the first step that every corporate house should try and look into, to promote and believe in a vision that can become a sport, can become a league, and can become a movement or a revolution going forward, so that India becomes a multi-sport nation. So yes, for me, I'm absolutely fine. I'm just happy to see this stand in this arena. It's a privilege, it's an honor for me.
It was a goosebumps moment for me, when I went, when I saw this production, and you have done amazing work. One last question: you talk about the expansion of the sport. How far are you seeing, ultimate Kho Kho rising from here? What would you like to see, Kho Kho making a place in India's internal, should I say, sporting culture?
See, that's a beautiful question, because I've always believed in the fact that if a sport is culturally deep rooted anywhere in the world, it'll always have the legs to run the marathon, right? So if you look at LATAM and soccer, you look at Europe and soccer, you look at US and golf, these are all culture driven sports, right? It's right there from the grassroots, from the kids. So I believe that Kho Kho is already part of our culture. What it needed was a professional setup where, you know, the players can come and express themselves, and franchisees can create a commercial entitlement out of the overall business model. I think that is where I see Kho Kho going forward. But ultimate Kho Kho is here to stay. Um, it is a long-term deal that we have struck with KKFI, and we are only here to grow. And hopefully, we'll be giving you some good news next year with the two new inclusions of some big entities joining us as franchise owners.
Fingers crossed. Thank you so much. It was an honor to speak with you and to be in the same frame as you. It
Thank
is
you.
a big honor for me.
Thank you so much.
And for our channel, thank you so much. And if you like this video, you like this content, please do not forget to subscribe the channel. That's it from our side. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.